Hey guys, welcome to another lesson of Pro Teaches Noob. And today I have returning with me, Bianca.
It is I.
And today we are following up from our Thanos Infinity Abyss book with Marvel, the End, or the end of the Marvel Universe, which has an interesting story. This was originally tasked to be another one of the End books, hence the title. Unfortunately, Tom Brevoort did not explain it very well to Jim Starlin, who took it as just another Thanos miniseries. And in the end, it ended up being a case where, as far as Brevoort would keep saying, all the End books are not canon. So this book is not canon, even though he would let Starlin still reference the events of this book constantly.
Why you always lying? Why
Yeah,
you always
yeah,
lying?
this one we're going to see Jim draw everyone in the Marvel Universe at least once. But yes, who better than Thanos to bring about the end of everything?
You're right, though.
What?
You're correct, I said.
Yep, you missed it. All reality has come to an end. Yes, I, Thanos of Titan, am responsible. But I did not destroy the universe for the reasons you would assume. You see, I gained complete mastery over all there was and then discovered my achievements were not but an insane joke. Of course, I was destined to annihilate the universe. From that first moment I laid eyes on Mistress Death, destruction had been my art. Nearly my entire existence has been devoid to an sorry, I'm afraid. Nearly my entire existence has been devoid to amassing power and dealing out death. For a time, I proudly proclaimed myself the ultimate nihilist. Twice, I became most powerful being in our reality, only to have unlimited might slip from my grasp. I even died once and served as Death's loyal servant, but the fates had a dark role mapped out for me that cannot be denied. So was restored to me to fulfill my part in this final drama. You wonder how and why? I shall tell you where, but where do I begin? I know. At Ketan. He was an 18th dynasty pharaoh in ancient Egypt. Being a product of selective inbreeding, Akent, Akith, how do you say it? Akhenate. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to do it on Google. Just a second. Just a second, because I need to know how you say this out loud.
And not 10.
Okay, tell me how. Tell me, because can't go back and forth. Tell me how it's spelled. AKH.
Akhenaten.
I found it. Pronunciation. Akunaten. Akunaten.
Oh, there's a U?
Apparently. Yep, Akhenaten. So
Akhenaten.
Akhenaten. I believe selective inbreeding. Akhenaten believed himself the spokesman of the god Aten. So he ordered the closing of the temples of Amun and moved Egypt's capital from Thebes to the newly built city of Akhenaten after himself. Akhenaten. Like all pharaohs, his power was slave-based and his rule ruthless. His insane reign lasted nearly 17 years. How he died, nobody knows. For in death, Akhenaten became a mystery. And basically, he was transported by aliens! No joke on this one. Meanwhile, at the X Mansion,
Beast.
Beast and Jean, as Jean's feeling dizzy. Perhaps you ought to let the professor know. Why? It's nothing. Jean, I would have a word with you. Akhenaten, you too? For the past hour or so. What's going on here? Grave approaching danger, I fear. Henry, contact and call in all X-Men. Jean, further intelligence on this matter is urgently needed. The next to become aware of the coming doom was not exactly of this universe, but an intricate facet of its structure. Deep within the cosmic vortex, our reality resides, ever struggling against the pull of the abyss. As we
Not my
see,
favorite beast.
Look,
Yeah, he's so disproportionate.
he
Oh my
is.
gosh.
Remember how at Lisa's spells worked before? Now look at them. Unfortunately, she's now since, and it's like some time has passed since then, so she's clearly older. Oh, look at it! They have a grill and everything.
Ooh.
Everything is about to change. Meanwhile, we see the gods. Thor. This is back when Thor was actually the god of the ruler. Like basically, Odin had died, and God and Thor had taken over. Hear me, Lord Thor. I give thee notice and warning. I have returned for what is rightfully mine. Know that my claim to the lands you call Midgard predates Asgard. You are given notice that any interference in my rule will be dealt with harshly. My liege, who be this knave to so challenge you? I know not, but I be not blind. Saileth, the mysterious newcomer, is no boastful fool. In truth, he does wield energy that might dwarf even the Odin power. And deep within the domain of the proud Shi'ar Empire, the Shi'ar Armada has been wiped out entirely. Even Gladiator dies.
Oh, he had a cool mohawk.
He always did. As you are likely to suspect, I was already aware of the existence of this mysterious power. In fact, for the past year or so, I've been actively seeking it. For despite my forsaking any effort to either dominate or destroy all life in the universe, I felt possessing such might be advisable. A centuries-long existence, some miscalculations, and an unyielding disposition having rewarded me with scores of powerful enemies and few allies. My thinking was that such power would deter anyone seeking righteous retribution for some perceived past misdeed on my part. But the sources of these awesome energies proved elusive. My scanners would continuously detect unique energy emanation and then lose it. I began to despair that mine was a futile quest. So in other words, he was seeking power to help people leave him alone. What do you think about that idea?
Genius.
I mean, it makes sense, right? It's like he's finally been like, I want to be alone, but unfortunately I made too many enemies.
I would be the same too, bro.
Yep. There's the Fantastic Four, and they're basically the Avengers saying we should meet up. And at that same moment, an ill-advised reunion was taking place at the estate of one Professor Charles Xavier, a gathering of so-called X-Men. They're all the X-Men, even Wolverine, Storm. And some of it is meant to be based off of Frank Quitely's artwork, like for Scott.
Oh, what the heck? That girl looks so real. I think that's Emma.
Oh, right there at the bottom left?
Yeah, she looks like an actual real person.
Instead of the bimbo. There's Rogue and
Her robe looks great.
Yep, Angel.
Gambit looks ugly.
But then they reach out and they're sensing Akhenaten. You know what I mean.
Yee.
Akhenaten, and he basically he's claiming that which is mine. But as soon as we have to get out of here, too late, and all of the X-Men are wiped out.
Dang.
Yep, just one blast, boom, no more X-Men. And even Dr. Doom senses all of this. Terrorist self-destruction. How can he be so delusional? Such precise devastation using a means unknown on Earth indicates an off-world assailant. This is clearly a situation I must continue to monitor. Who knows what opportunities might arise? Tel Amara, one of hundreds of archaeological sites that dot Egypt. But what might this particular site significant? And was the fact that in ancient days, this is where the once capital city of Akhenaten stood. And then a pyramid drops on it. No war with Iraq. Yep, there's Bush. This was during the Bush administration. And he's teleported away along with Doom and everyone else. And basically, basically trying to figure out what's going on.
Wait, is that Okay, never mind. For some reason,
and Namor,
the black guy. For some reason, I was like, "Is that a black actor?"
I don't know. But there's
He's under
T'Challa.
doom.
There's T'Challa.
Yee, I love T'Challa.
Yep, but yeah, everyone's them being hacked. They say, I, the great pharaoh Akhenaten, has returned to claim Earth and its adjoining territory. My rule will be just, and my reign prosperous. As the chosen agent of the Grand Council, I welcome you to the Celestial Order. And, and look, there's Saddam. It's back to building pyramids for some people. Pig. From this point on, your and respective governments will be answerable directly to me. I have looked upon you and what you have done into this world in my absence, and I am displeased. The empire will be restored to its former glory and beyond. Resist me, and in these efforts, and many will die horribly. Submit to my righteous authority, and the wars will be wondrous. Where's Bush? This has to be his doing. Ha! To illustrate the benefit of unquestioning obedience, I give you the remedy for the cure for cancer and AIDS. All who suffer from these afflictions are now cured. So return to your minor capitals and await my pleasure. And each country will shortly be given work assignments. Conquest and notification are complete. Now I must prepare for resistance and the merciless crushing of it. Basically, Doom had left a small spy camera to keep an eye on everything. Meanwhile, the Fantastic Four, they're trying to figure out what to do. And then Akhenaten shows up, and they come in and they give them I give you 1 hour to consider my proposal. Don't need it. Take your job offer and Ben, don't shove it. So be it. Alas, I knew their pride would blind them to the truth. But even in death, they shall prove useful to the Empire. Let them illuminate the folly of disobedience. And eventually we see Silver Surfer being pulled in to meet up with Captain Marvel and the Defenders. Meanwhile, we see Spider-Man and Daredevil meet up, and the Avengers and the Four are all dead. Crucified. No! All the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. A lie. A trick. No. I can detect no breathing. No heartbeats. I know. Who did this? Sorry, Daredevil. I've run out of answers. Meanwhile, we see there it's Zeus.
He's a redhead.
Always has been.
Makes so much sense.
Well, yeah, Thor and Zeus meet up to try and figure out what's going on. We see Eternity and Infinity. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, Thanos is and so amidst foreboding and ignorance, the planet Earth fell to the might of the all-powerful celestial order. Before any even truly perceived the presence of the galactic conqueror, the pharaoh Akhenaten has returned, his 4,000-year-old regime resurrected, and now prepared to extend its rule throughout the heavens. And this was but the start of grand tragedy. A mere puddle compared to the ocean of sorrowful tears to come. The dying had just begun. So what do you think about that? Right within the first issue, they killed off the X-Men and the Avengers already.
Who's next?
Good question. So what do you think of the fact that right off the bat they're dead?
I was like, oh, there's going to be it's going to be what's it called? A few episodes of build up here and there. Like, no, never mind.
Evolution is necessary. It's nature's method of readying an organism for the future. In a highly fluid environment, one must be constantly prepared for change. This holds true whether that organism is a single-celled creature, an individual species, society, or even a reality. The rule is adapt or perish. By challenging the might of the pharaoh, Akhenaten, Thor of Asgard, and Zeus of Olympus were about to have their adaptive resilience severely tested, and they were to truly learn that all things are relative, even the power of gods. So yeah, basically they summon all the, we see a bunch of time travelers have all been captured, all put in this thing of amber. Immortus, Kang, everyone.
Dang, bro.
And while Doom is still trying to figure out what to do. And Doom has a big part in this too. Incredible. It's another miniature spy camera, even more sophisticated than my own. Who else spies on Akhenaten? The fact that Doom has survived this long is remarkable. Let us hope his luck holds. The data he collects on Akhenaten may prove useful, for we face a foe whose power dwarfs even our combined might. I did not save you from the fate your fellow paranormal suffered for any vain last stand effort. We can only prevail through stealth. Which means what? Means talk. It means too much talk. Hulk smash dress wearing Shadow Man. That ill-conceived plan will merely get you killed, Hulk. You say Hulk dies? Maybe Hulk smash pointy shoulders. He's not threatening you, Hulk. Is he always like this anymore? Marvel, this is one of his better days. Strange, leash your dog or I will. When facing overwhelming odds in battle, one needs to change the equation. A powerful foe's resources must be diminished before confrontation. Any other course of action is simply suicidal. Odd counsel coming from a supposed nihilist, a former nihilist, Captain, one who has seen the light and moved on. And then our plan is quite simple, really. We determine a source of Akhenaten's vast might, and we deprive him of it. And within a distant actuality, another war council convened, a gathering of gods. As we see all of them, even Ram and Ron and all of that. All of them. Atar, Nirvana, Horus. We see Horus.
Nirvana.
Yeah. And Zeus and Thor. And they're all there studying while Doom is also studying. Because much like so many other Egyptians and pharaohs, even Akhenaten would put all of its history into the walls of his temple. Abduction, death, and rebirth. Meanwhile, we see with the Eye of Ra, no secret can be hidden from their gaze. Like the villain is known to you. Hunabku, when human, he turned his back on the old god. He's forced his people to worship the sun god Aten. For this blasphemy, we did curse him. And that now appears a punishment gone awry. A miscarriage we must now set right. So yeah, they're trying to figure out what he is, and we find out that he has taken Craven Hornip, the person who had killed King Tut, who was apparently his Akhenaten's son. And what does he do? He actually destroys his soul, his spirit.
Oh my gosh. The bird makes it not as serious.
Unbelievable! Yeah, but that's Ra, though. But that is Ra.
That's who?
That's Ra, the Egyptian god.
I don't know no Egyptian gods.
But we find out, about how he was ruling it all, and then eventually he went to the Valley of the Kings, where he was abducted by the Celestial Order, who gave him his power. First, I had been transformed to the promised afterlife, but this was not the first of many wonders I was to experience. It was nothing compared to the shock of meeting them. And once they did, his mind snapped, and it took time before he was eventually ready to come back to Earth. And there they are, the celestial, or the celestial beings. And he finally mastered his power, and he soon realized, that was Horus, not Ra. Horus. Even you, Horus, he knows. Farewell, pretender. Zeus, escape! And they get out of there as all of the other gods are killed. And yeah, basically Doom is still trying to figure out, so he decides he's going to go back in time and try and take Akhenaten's place, and actually and before the aliens can abduct him, and he also be abducted.
Seems legit.
Yep. So what do you think of this one so far?
It definitely caught my interest a lot faster.
The number one rule of this merciless universe: if the species develops in a way that is counterproductive to its survival, it does not last long. Earth's own history has hundreds of examples of this unfortunate occurrence. Take the Brachiosaurus, for example, a lumbering herd animal that lived some 55 to 30 million years ago. Its size alone protected it from most predators of the time, but nature made an enormous error when designing this brute. Instead of fabricating its impressive horn of cartilage or hair like the modern-day rhino, nature believed it sculpted of bone, which would shatter. Extinction soon followed, relatively speaking. After the dinosaurs perished, the Gostornerus became Earth's most effective hunter. But this bird grew too large to nest in trees, and so its vulnerable hatchlings became prey to insects. Extinction. Of course, I didn't realize our own reality was headed for the same fate as I left Captain Marvel and the Defenders into the depths of uncharted space. So yeah, they're basically trying to find the power source of Akhenaten. Meanwhile, Doom is preparing his time transport. Like, it has been years since I dared use my time transport, but the danger of causing an inadvertent time apparition in the past pales against the horrors of Akhenaten's unopposed reign. So I now trek to ancient Egypt to gain victory and possible unlimited might. Meanwhile, we're seeing, of course, they're being and there is no longer any need for weapons. You are now under the protection of Akhenaten the Infinite. Somebody tell me that's who I think it is, please.
Joe Mama.
Meanwhile, we see that he's actually gathered a bunch of the villains, and they're killing off any remaining heroes. Black Cat, Hawkeye, Daredevil.
Black Cat's a hero?
Well, she was at this point.
Oh. I'm sorry, Black Cat.
But yeah, they're all figuring out how to get through there. They're still talking among themselves, like basically, Akhenaten is as much a threat to me as he is to you. Until his defeat is assured, you need not fear me, nor will I force you to work with me. Go your own way if you wish. You stopped your craft. Why? I have detected what I suspected our celestial order scannings, and will need time to cloak us from their view. Enough! I will tolerate no more of your arrogant insolence! Incredible. Even in the midst of such cosmic power, they cannot keep their tempers in check. See, I told you. I shall handle this. These force fields will restrain your comrades until they regain their senses. Let Hulk out! Being unencumbered into such troublesome allies, Dr. Doom would launch the first serious strike against Akhenaten. The exact time and place had been programmed into the time transport. So with this push of a button, I depart the present and return to the land of the Pharaoh, where all-powerful Akhenaten was but a mere mortal. So he appears there, kills off one of the guards, and basically decides to make his way through there. Meanwhile, they're finding their way to where the Celestial Order is. Of course, Doctor Strange and Silver Surfer are planning to betray him at the first sign that Thanos might jump for it. We then see Doom seems to have found him. He's ready to blast him, but then Akhenaten shows up. And yeah, like, no, yes, Doom, did you truly believe me so foolish as to leave my past unguarded? I only allowed you to get this close so that your capture would be all that much more gratifying. From the start, I consider you one of my most dangerous adversaries. And so, and as he took out Doom. Meanwhile, the Defenders and the Captain Marvel show up and find this big ship housing what is known as the heart of the universe.
Heart of the universe.
Stay near me. My armor's cloaking device is effective for 30 or 40 meters. You're stepping on my heels, Gargoyle. Purple Post said close. Had to be the Defenders and not the Avengers. Meanwhile, we find out that Thor and Zeus have survived and are with Infinity and Eternity. We cannot aid you, Godling, for Infinity and I are blind. We're all time and space where once ours agate upon, we are presently limited to the here and now. This occurred shortly after Lord Chaos and Master Order warned us of the threat that you now most likely flee from. The advent of this Akhenaten has terribly upset the balance of this actuality. Cosmic focal points have shifted and carefully crafted alignments have gone askew. This has thrown all there ever was or will be into turbulent flux. I have always been keenly aware of my entrance and far distant exit from existence, but now the former is fogged by unimaginable distance, and the latter so close I cannot take it all in. So yeah, they soon see one of the Celestials walking, and he's the Order walking by, and it is huge, of course. And they find the heart of the universe. Hulk needs sunglasses. I knew it existed. None of the computer analysis would confirm my theories, yet still I believed. And I was right. It doesn't seem real. Surfer, be prepared. The prize is at hand. If Thanos the Titan plots betrayal, he'll soon act. Do not hesitate. Robot! A mere system tech. Ignore it. Hulk! Hulk smash! Stupidity strikes again. The Hulks are mine for bringing him along. We're dead, quite likely. Then let us go down fighting, defenders. It was a sentiment I truly embraced at that moment. But destiny is a mean-spirited gesture. In fact, a much crueler fate awaited me. I love that. Stupidity strikes again. The Hulks are mine for bringing him along. I love that. Even Thanos, he's not perfect. He makes mistakes, big ones.
I mean, he did think of, raw power and all that stuff, which is kind of what they needed, but the lack of brains.
I sensed I was on the threshold of omnipotence. Not even the powerful celestial order would keep me from passing into the beyond. How was I to know the dream was contaminated, mutated into bitter disappointment? The cancer was subtle and secret, yet terminal. But in my ignorance, possibility yet lived. It didn't matter that a celestial order member had discovered us trespassing within their massive holy satellite. They all put up a good fight, and then more celestial orders show up, and eventually Namor is taken out, and then Doctor Strange. Everyone is taken out one by one until eventually then Thanos hops in. The Infinity and I were to become one. It was a desperate ploy, I admit. My theory was that the Order filtered and absorbed the heart's powers through its instrumentations, because physically they could not directly accept such naked energy. I, on the other hand, have spent my entire life housing massive stores of might within my physical self. My hope was that I could mesh with the omnipotence and gain control of it. I alone had the will and training to accomplish this seemingly impossible feat. Unfortunately, as soon as I entered the boiling maelstrom, I realized the flesh was not up to the task. This incorporation can only be described as the most unsettling sensation one can imagine. Yet still, I maintained my focus. I would not fall victim to the heart. I was determined to be its master, and through sheer force of will, I prevailed. Starmen, run away! As if they sensed something we don't, perhaps. The satellite! It was engineered to contain the power of the heart of the universe. Those energies have escaped, but the forces that imprison it are still boom! And they're all dead! My pawns perished, but I prevailed on unification. But the cost, the pain, extreme disorientation. My entire being screamed out for a rest, a chance to adjust. But I had to deny myself the luxury. Dark deeds required my attention. He then goes back to when Doom was ready to attack. No, yes, no, all things are about to change. I could have been merciful, I suppose. A mere smart thought would have denied Akhenaten access to the heart's power. But I wanted him to realize the full extent of his downfall. So, Akhenaten, you would be my master? Impossible! You have tapped into the supreme power. How? Blind fool. Can you not see that I am power infinite? I am supreme. This cannot be! Hey, you will find no salvation in denial, little pharaoh. Your bid for godhood has proved to be wanting. Nothing will stand in the way of my restoring my sacred Egypt to its rightful glory. Die! And now, I will not accept this, as the power still fills me. And I think not. This cannot be. My victory is written in the stars. Childish Akhenaten, use what sense is left to you. Do you not perceive and the truth that stands so clearly before you? I have become the star. I am all, and I have come to judge you, Pharaoh. You dreamed and schemed beyond your station. That I can understand. But in doing so, you challenged me. That I can never forgive. But I mercifully grant you and Doom a second chance. If he allows you to escape, you live. If he doesn't, go forth to your final rest, Pharaoh. Thanos the god grants you at least this small kindness. He turns him into a butterfly when he should have been dead. More than 2,000 years before Akhenaten's birth, a great discovery. The founders of the Celestial Order had come to the end of their long scientific quest. With such vast power now at their disposal, the universe would be sculpted by their whims and logic. That is, if the ship's power generator had not suddenly overheated and exploded. Within the hour, the first symptoms of the Black Curse were noticed among the Order's population. The entire race would be dead in less than a week. I did not allow them to suffer overtly much. They meant nothing to me. Their extinction was but a precaution, not vengeance. And so all that had transpired since Akhenaten's return to Earth never occurred. The planet's bickering nations continued to govern themselves in their usual mad fashion. The Earth's champions resumed their uninterrupted lives without the slightest inkling of their recent demise and resurrections. Perhaps a few, like Marvel, Strange, and the Surfer, sensed something amiss, different, but even they could not defy their misgiving, for that never was cannot be credited. But there are some who did remember, those who could see behind the concealing curtain of change, they who knew that everything in the universe had been dramatically altered. And this they could not tolerate. And so the
Hellcat.
what?
Hellcat.
Where?
Right in front of Hulk.
Oh yeah. But yeah, all of the living beings of the universe presented: Master Order, Eon, Lord Chaos, Infinity, Eternity, Zeus and Soren, the other Elder Gods, Mistress Love, Master Hate, the In-Betweener, Mighty Galactus, the Mysterious Stranger, the Ever-Present Watcher, the Insidious Mephisto, the entire race of the Celestials, and oh geez, what was that? Oh geez, I forget his name now. Oh, the Living Tribunal. So
It's a
engrossed
hard
was I in
name.
reveling in my newfound omnipotence, I did not sense their faithful meeting. But looking back now, oh, I see that even if I had confronted them at that moment, nothing much would have changed. Some things are written in a medium where indelible than even the stars. Certain doom cannot be avoided. All things must eventually come to an end. As we go into number 5.
Number 5.
I had plunged into the heart of the universe and challenged the Almighty for dominance of existence. The victory was mine, but not because I triumphed over the contest of will, but because there was no one to challenge me. All the theologians were wrong about divine guidance and heavenly judgment. Supreme power was nothing more than limitless energy, waiting for the first claimant to come in along to wield it. There never had been any All-Father, Celestial Supreme Will, or Mighty Self. The cosmic equation was now changed, and I reveled in my newfound supremacy. With the cosmic cube, I manipulated facets of divine and a very limited experience. The Infinity Gauntlet had granted me mastery of all time, space, power, reality, the mind, and the soul, but it was still external control. Now I was all that was and subservient to none. Supreme. And hold on a second.
Beep, beep, beep,
It was going to drive me crazy if I didn't stop it.
What?
Master finally had and the universe finally had a master worthy and appreciative of the celestial entitlement. The station was clearly destined to be mine. I was amazed how easily my consciousness reached out to the embrace and the infinite. No mere words can describe the sensation of being one with the all. I was everything bound to omni-reality. And it's great how he's everything. Prehistoric, beings on prehistoric world, a mischievous child. He was Spider-Man or a plot thread in a writer's mind. The final breath of a dying woman. I nearly became lost in the wonder of what I was. Yet my awareness continued to expand beyond the material and the abstract into realms I never suspected even existed. I discovered the universal and vibratory patterns, the DNA of all reality. And basically, he basically soon realized the heavenly laws written in the ether. Only then did I realize that all my struggle and sacrifice had been for naught. My dreams were a dark cosmic joke. It took mere seconds for me to comprehend the pattern, purpose, and importance. These luminous weaves were the order that holds off chaos and the void. But upon closer inspection, I realized that all was not right with the universe. Sections of the intricate network were twisted and perverted. Their symmetry had become contaminated by aberrations from within. I immediately realized the astral cancer for what it was: the advent of the apocalypse, the beginning of the end of all. This I could not allow, but try as I might, the malady would not be reversed. No time traveling trick or massive expenditure of divine might would right the imbalance. In fact, my every effort only worsened the situation. Desperate denial eventually turned to grim acceptance. The universe was doomed, and I could not save it. Once in the throes of nihilistic madness, I had offered the universe to Mistress Death as a love token. Now, in horror, I realized that even she would fall victim to the approaching termination. For in the absence of life, there can be no death. I had become all only to be confronted by the indomitable juggernaut of ending. And soon realized that Thor was contacting all of the heroes, basically saying how he has all this power and we must stop him. Um, and
I
basically,
didn't even know he could do that.
it's with the help of the Living Tribunal to do it.
Of course.
Unaware that the universe was rallying against me, I continued to struggle with the existence that was disintegrating all about me. Again and again, I ventured into the past, examining the origins of this malady in the hope of finding a cure. The trouble sprang from the fact that every element of actuality was balanced against an opposing aspect, thus maintaining a small astral flow. So it always was, and so it should continue to be. But it all fell to ruin the day Simon Williams became Wonder Man. He gained his power from Baron Zemo, a leader of the Master of Evil, once the Avengers' deadliest adversaries. Envy and pride drove Williams to their ranks. His bitter nature eventually convinced him to betray the Masters. This valiant deed was rewarded with death, until he was eventually, of course, resurrected twice. And the basic idea of death and resurrection is what brought it about. The forces sought to balance the light against the darkness. In recent years, the ranks of so-called evil grew so strong that certain heroes were called back from beyond the veil and pressed again into service. Some recycled more than others. There's Drax right there. But in writing the good-evil balance, the more central equilibrium between life and death was sent askew. And like falling dominoes, the contamination spread throughout. So basically the idea of heroes coming back from the dead damaged the universe.
I like that.
Yeah. So he decided to come back and try and figure out what to do when eternity shows up. I come to demand you relinquish the supreme power you have stolen. More like it was given to me. Liar! You actually have no clue to what truly transpires, do you? Your lord and master has abandoned you eternity to a dismal fate. Before you sits your only hope for survival. The acquisition of omnipotence has obviously driven you madder than you already were, Titan. Surrender the power. So in other words, everyone thinks it is just typical for Thanos, when in fact he knows what's going on. Unfortunately, no one's going to ever believe it because of what he's done before. And some attorney tries to blast him, but then he takes care of eternity by for the personification of all time, eternity. You really are an annoying little cretin. Be gone. And then the Living Tribunal shows up and sends all of the heroes, everyone. This is how you treat your Lord Almighty? You would challenge the heavens so brazenly? So be it then. Let there be war. And thus the final chapter. The end of the Marvel Universe. John Milton, an Earthman, wrote, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. But what would he have thought of ruling over absolute nothingness? True, it would be a secure empire, but what would be its value? This was the question I would soon have to answer, but only after I faced the righteous fury of the universe's most heroic warriors. Of course, even a combined might was nothing compared to my supreme power. My simplest gesture was devastation. Incredible! He actually destroyed a celestial! The others are too close. They will be protected. They just are putting everything they can into it. It deeply and strangely angered me. In fact, my rage was uncontrollable. How dare these cretins defy their supreme being? Was I not now the end all and be all of reality? Their very existence was by my whim. Yet they had the arrogance to actually attack me. A crimson tide washed over me. Rational thought drowned beneath it. Divine indignation seized control. Such grievance insult would not go unpunished. I acted without thought, as if my response was preordained. In retrospect, I once again consider the deviousness of my predecessor. Was this my moment of triumph, or but a fast of another grand plan? Of course, at that moment of blind anger, it mattered little, as he's absorbing everyone in. All the heroes are just in. Spidey goes head first!
Ah, it's always Spooderman.
The living tribunal, eternity and infinity, it's resisted being absorbed from into my being longer than the rest. Their stubbornness fanned the flames of my fury, until the infernal rage completely out of control. Not even the sweet nectar of victory could quiet the turmoil within me. For if this band could not defy me, might not others be equally foolish? Could I allow any and to question my divine authority? No. So I continued to absorb all that might threaten my reign until nothing remained. Who knows how long I basked in the glory of my dreadful triumph? I savored the sweet silence of oblivion, but eventually sanity crept back into influence, and the full impact of what I had done sank in. What lunacy had seized control of me? The trap was so painfully obvious, and yet I had stepped into it, blinded by injured ego. Never before had I acted so precipitously. Impulse was not part of my structure, yet still I had followed a course charted by another's hand. The master manipulator had been tricked. I was still trying to come to terms with this realization when you made your dramatic entrance. A mystic portal? Who turns out he's been explaining all of this to Adam. Thanos, what have you done? Adam Warlock. Only you could somehow miss the end of the universe. Of course, you and Gamora were outside this reality, tending to young Atliza, this actuality's cosmic anchor. A task that unexpectedly terminated. What has transpired? And that is how the universe came to an end. What next? Next requires time and space, which no longer exists. Yet only you and I remain. Right, and I suppose I am extremely temporary in your judgment. Adam Warlock, you have always been part of this universe, but inexplicably apart from it. That saved you from the moment for the moment from joining your comrades in oblivion. But I see no reason you should not share their fate, except that no one would witness your grand gesture. I was not aware that I had one plan. The security of the void is not your way, Titan. Did you know, Warlock, that I was always fond of your self-assertiveness, your most annoying trait? My unique status in this universe has always gained me insights denied to others. That is why I understand you better than you perhaps you do yourself. Why I have trusted you so many times in the past. Grand gestures are a costly affair, and this one more so than I am willing to pay. Thanos, your past madness has caused the slaughter of millions, but you have also saved billions when universal doom threatened. Noble deed motivated by necessity. Were they? Or were you assisting in righting the imbalance between the monsters and those who would do the right thing? No one has ever before accused me of altruism, an anemic notion. Have I been deluding myself in believing my entire life has been based on self-interest? Of course, we all deceive ourselves to a certain extent, and your entire existence has been grounded in deceit. Look to your recent actions, Titan. After the affair of the Infinity Gauntlet, you supposedly forswore universal domination or destruction. You claimed to seek a peaceful existence, but feared all enemies might seek vengeance over past wrongs. So you sought to strengthen your own hand so that none might threaten you. But look where this quest for power led you. Not what you expected, is it? No, this I did not intend. I was tricked as much by yourself as he whose power you coveted. Life should be more than paranoia to one's paranoia. You would so mock me? I only point out that you and what you already know in your heart. Thanos, you have spent centuries chasing the shadows of what you thought you should crave. And each end achieved has proven a disappointment, has it not? Have you ever known true satisfaction? You seek to measure me in terms that apply to lesser beings, Adam Warlock. I am Thanos of Titan, unique unto myself. My name itself means death. Are you not more than a name? I sense you are. What does it matter now? It is this moment I must deal with. Sacrifice or the void are apparently my options. You were chosen because of your will, Titan. Chosen or tricked. A poisonous trinket was offered, and I foolishly leapt for it. A ploy you've used on so many others. Not easy being on the receiving end, is it? A situation I have not yet accepted. Really? I am still seeking that proverbial loophole. Really? Point taken. If he went to all this trouble to ensnare me, there will be no out. Check and mate. Time to find grace in defeat. Not my strong suit. Thanos, the role you play can have no understudy. What must be done, you alone can accomplish. Take pride in that. Spare me your nauseating sentimentality and pity. I chose to play the game and will accept the outcome. Do not try to bestow sainthood upon me. Defeat is humiliation enough. True enough, the universe will be a better place without you. Yet I shall still regret your passing. There has always been something of the fool in you, hasn't there? It will not be as it was, you know. Death, I mean. Basically, he tries to claim death is permanent now, and even says like the same will be for you. I can accept that. In many ways, it'll be a blessing. Though Gamora and I are now learning the value of life well spent. I envy you that, Adam. I have accomplished much in this existence, but one goal always eluded me. It is not you I hope to spend my final moments with, but our individual pride were too great a barrier to breach. Her station was also a severe impediment I never managed to circumvent, and in all honesty, the approaches I chose were rather ill conceived. I thought I had put this sorrow behind me. Thanos, always a deceiver, especially to his own heart. But such mundane sentiment there was another you overlooked in your mad frenzy of absorption, Titan, for she too exists in a plane of actuality outside this poor reality. And Mistress Death appears. Thank you, my dearest. You spoke directly to me. Farewell, my love.
Anticlimactic.
Perhaps that is what I truly spent my entire life seeking. Is it enough? It will have to be. Step back, Adam Warlock. The time has come for the final resurrection. The patterns will be set right. The cancer will be eradicated from the patient, and all shall be as it should be. How ironic that in the end, Thanos of Titan did best was be a healer. As everything is back to normal. Everything. Thanos. From the start to finish, a creature of contradictions. When last we met during the Abyss affair, I gleaned that he was once again seeking a new and awesome power source, as he had done so many times before. I knew that if he gained this prize, it would always not be what he truly craved, which was a love of sorts, I suppose. The substitute would prove a disappointment. Then again, the mad anger would boil. I feared that then someone would certainly have to pay dearly for this letdown. Never did I imagine that someone would be Thanos himself. So, what did you think? How was that compared to the last one?
No, I like the last one better.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did it start to lose you? After Thanos got to the heart?
I want to say, yeah, around there.
Because beforehand, it started off really strong, didn't it?
It did. I'm like, okay, let's go. And then around the middle, I'm like, okay, we're still good.
And then Thanos got the heart, and it just became him talking about fixing the universe.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
Too much talking, right?
Yeah.
But overall, though, what would you rate this one?
It's definitely going to be a little bit lower.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad story. The one with death was anticlimactic. I'm like, really?
Well,
really?
true, because she knew what he was about to do. So it was supposed to be brief, and she's always been a woman of few words. Until we get to another issue later on.
Uh-huh.
But trust me, Death has always spoken very little.
No, it's just that's the reason he did this.
No, that's not the reason why. That was just something that gave him that little edge, that little push. And this was meant to be Thanos' last story. It was fitting.
Okay, I will forgive.
All right, but overall, I mean, what do you think about the idea, though? And see what I mean, though, how this was clearly not what Starlin thought the story, the end, meant to be.
Yeah, I definitely see it.
And I can understand why Brevoort put his foot down, but you got to see why this is important for Thanos. Especially next time we see him, he's going on trying to be a redeemer. He's trying to redeem himself. Because, yeah, Thanos isn't dead.
I will be the judge of that.
Well, we'll eventually do it whenever we get to the next one. But until then, we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Oh wait,
Hmm?
I never
What?
rated it.
Oh, right. What was the rating?
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
A
Okay.
little bit lower, but not that
But
much.
the artwork was still good, right?
Oh yeah.
Beast aside, beast aside.
Yee.
But yeah, we'll see you all in the next one, though. Take care.
Bye.